frustration, writes Peter Schweizer in his new book, Secret Empires: How the American Political Class Hides Corruption and Enriches Family and Friends. It is not that the solid reporting on Trump has been too tough, but that the reporting on the Obama administration has been way too soft, or in some cases, non-existent. The author of the 2016 sensation, Clinton Cash, says Trump and his children didn't invent the blurring of government and business, and details a number of ethical violations on both sides of the political aisle. And one example of this, the little noticed private equity firm run by the sons of Democrats Joe Biden and John Kerry, as detailed in this exclusive first excerpt. Now, Joe Biden and John Kerry have been pillars of Washington establishment for more than 30 years. Biden is one of the most popular politicians in our nation's capital. His demeanor, sense of humor, and even his friendly gaffes have allowed him to form close relationships with both Democrats and Republicans. His public image is built around his Lunch Bucket Joe persona, as he reminds the American people on the regular he has little wealth to show for his career, despite having reached the vice presidency level. One of his closest political allies in Washington is former Senator and former Secretary of State John Kerry. Lunch Bucket Joe, he ain't. Kerry is more patrician than earthy, or more of a nobleman or a aristocrat. But these two men became very close while serving for decades together in the U.S. Senate. The two often talked on matters of foreign policy, says Jewel Whitcover in his Biden biography. So their sons going into business together in June of 2009 was not exactly a bolt out of the blue, but with whom their sons cut lucrative deals with, while the elder two were steering the ship of a state, is more of a surprise. What Hunter Biden, the son of American Vice President, and Christopher Hines, the stepson of the chairman of the Senate Committee on Foreign Relations, CFR, later to be Secretary of State, were creating was an international private equity firm. It was anchored by the Hines family alternative investment fund, Rosemont Capital. And this new firm would be populated by political loyalists and positioned to strike profitable deals with overseas and foreign governments and officials with whom the U.S. government was negotiating. Hunter Biden, Vice President Joe Biden's youngest son, had gone through a series of jobs since graduating from Yale Law School in 1996, including the hedge fund businesses. By the summer of 2009, the 39-year-old Hunter joined forces with the son of another powerful figure in American politics, Chris Hines, Senator John Hines of Pennsylvania, who had tragically died in 1991 airplane crash when Chris was just 18. Chris, his brothers, and his mother inherited a large chunk of the family's vast catch-up fortune, including a network of investment funds and a Pennsylvania estate, among other properties. In May of 1995, his mother, Teresa, married Senator John Kerry of Massachusetts. That same year, Chris graduated from Yale and went on to get his MBA from Harvard Business School. Joining them in Rosemont Venture was Devin Archer, a longtime Hines and Kerry friend. Now, these three friends established a series of related LLCs. The trunk of the tree was the Rosemont Capital, the alternative investment fund of the Hines family office. Rosemont Farm is the name of the Hines family 90-acre estate outside of Fox Chapel in Pennsylvania. Now, the small fund grew quickly, according to an email revealed as part of a Securities and Exchange Commission investigation. Rosemont described themselves as a $2.4 billion private equity firm owned by Hunter Biden and Chris Hines, with Devin Archer as a managing partner. The partners attached several branches of the Rosemont Capital trunk, including Rosemont Seneca Partners LLC, Rosemont Seneca Technology Partners, and Rosemont Realty. Of the various deals in which these Rosemont entities were entitled, one of the largest and most troubling concerns was Rosemont Seneca Partners. Rather than set up shop in New York City, the financial capital of the world, Rosemont Seneca leased space in Washington, D.C. They occupied an all-brick building on Wisconsin Avenue, the main thoroughfare of exclusive Georgetown. Their offices would be less than a mile from John and Teresa Kerry's 23-bedroom Georgetown mansion, and just 2 miles from both Joe Biden's office in the White House and his residence at the Naval Observatory. Over the next 7 years, as both Joe Biden and John Kerry negotiated sensitive and high-stakes deals with foreign governments, Rosemont entities secured a series of exclusive deals, often with those same foreign governments. Some of the deals they secured remain hidden. These Rosemont entities are, after all, within a private equity firm, and as such are not required to report or disclose their financial dealings publicly. Some of their transactions are nevertheless traceable by investigating world capital markets. A troubling pattern emerges when you do this research, showing how profitable deals were struck with foreign governments on the heels of crucial diplomatic missions carried out by their powerful fathers. And often, those foreign entities gained favorable policy actions from the United States government, just as the sons were securing favorable financial deals from these exact same entities. Now, nowhere is this more true than in their commercial dealings with the Chinese government-backed enterprises. Rosemont Seneca joined forces in doing business in China with another politically connected consultancy called the Thornton Group. Rosemont Seneca and the Bank of China created a $1 billion investment fund called Bohai Harvest RST, BHR, a name that reflected who was involved. Bohai for Bohai, and the investment Gulf of the Yellow Sea was a reference to the Chinese stake in the company. The RS referred to Rosemont Seneca. The T was Thornton. Let's just stop and look at what we know is fact. Joe Biden took his son Hunter on an official trip to China, just 10 days before the communist regime's bank signed a deal with the private equity firm that Joe Biden's son runs, along with John Kerry's son, for a time. So we know that John Biden's son Hunter opened a private equity firm with the stepson of Senator John Kerry. Kerry and Biden were colleagues in the Senate for decades. Hunter flew to China with his father aboard Air Force Two, and then the deal got done just 10 days later. The state-owned Bank of China made a deal with the younger Biden Rosemont Seneca Partners, an LLC. Kerry and Chris Hines run the $2.4 billion private equity firm at the time. The deal is exposed in a new book, back then, called Clinton Cash by Peter Schweizer, and the new one, The Secret Empire, exposes the whole thing. The deal was finalized just within days after their visit. This video is not even going to get into what Biden did to strong-arm the Ukraine government or other scenarios. We're still looking into all that. But in short, the Chinese government was literally funding a business that it co-owned along with the sons of two Americans, at the time, most powerful decision makers in these areas. The fund enjoyed an unusual and special status in China. The BHR touted its unique Sino-U.S. shareholding structure and the global resources and network that it allowed to secure investment opportunities. Funds were backed by the Chinese government. The partnership between American pre-slings and the Chinese government was just the beginning. The actual investment deals that this partnership made were even more problematic. Many of them would have serious national security implications for the United States. I will end this video with this. Biden's $1 billion quid pro quo strong arm of the Ukraine government gives us and raises questions. Who creates billion-dollar holes in the banks of corrupt countries? Who secures aid for those countries to shore up said banks? Who audits all of this? If we answer these, then we will know a lot. I'm Michael. This is a Patriot Hour. God bless, Godspeed to each and every one of you. Please share this video. Give it a thumbs up on your way out and check the description box. God bless, Godspeed to each and every one of you.